Hello friend, and welcome to Discoverage 17.3.
With Anne-Marie and Peter.
We have some...
Previously on Star Trek Discovery.
We heard from Becky Black, who reckons that you're Jet Reno, apparently. Yeah, because you give people funny names, you have no patience for nonsense, and you're hilarious. Well, there we are.
Which is a very nice compliment, but I'm nowhere near as quick-witted as Jet Reno. I cannot deliver that level of snark.
Jet Reno has people writing scripts for her, so...
Well, except she is also a comedian in her own right, and maybe contributing them to them herself, so...
we also heard from our old friend Weir Hedgehog, who's hoping that they don't find traces of control in Detmer, which...
oh, yeah, because
yes,
it's a bit of a cyber implant thing. Oh, yes.
So I'll add that to the list, I guess.
Yeah, that goes to Detmer Watch, then it's control, okay.
Mm-hmm. And Jack wondered whether the grey dust vibrating near Saru could have been remains of control, but I think that's just your standard weird dusty stuff you get from ships when they get damaged. Heaven knows why it looks like Earth, but there we go.
Yeah.
We have heard from Purry as well.
Hello, Orgs. Purry here to talk about the Discovery episode Far From Home, or should I say... Oh, no, wait, that's Far Away From Home. Doesn't really fit. Oh, sorry. Anyway, yeah, apologies once again. My feedback went through the wormhole slightly after you guys, and as a result, as always, just a little bit behind. So, as always, I have actually listened to the podcast before doing the feedback. That said, I do agree with, again, most of what you said. I really enjoyed this one. It's really nice to see the Disco crew again. I loved how captainy Saru's being. Like, when they were finally down, he did that big speech on, look, I know we want to find Michael, but we have to fix the ship first. I loved all that stuff. I loved the way the episode did as well give us this... I kind of look at everyone. Everyone got a wee bit to do, even, and yeah, like you, I can remember Bryce, but not the other guy, which is really bad. So hopefully he'll get a character and enough of a name that we remember. Maybe even a first name like Ariam got. Ooh, all fancy. And yeah, it was just good to get a bit of the crew. As you say with Ariam, I'm hoping it's a trauma thing. I'm hoping they aren't going down the... I really hope it's not Control. I'm kind of hoping that what we've seen of Control has been shoveled into the hazmat bucket or left on Giorgio's boot. What else did I like? I like the space western. You've got to love a space western, and I think they took it just the right level of space western. Yet the guns did look like a kind of lever action rifle, and they did seem like a really vicious weapon. It was like almost something that hurt you to death. You know, a short burst was just sore, whereas you keep doing it, it cooks people. You know, it did have a look of a weapon used by someone who likes being cruel, which set the character nicely. Even though, like I say, we're doing the space western again, but we weren't Galactica level of space western, thank the gods. And yeah, they're just some really neat moments. Like, everyone had their character moments. You know, maybe not full character moments, but everyone got kind of a bit to do. Jet Reno was brilliant. I think you guys nailed it actually in the... her snark isn't mean-spirited at no point. So often when you get someone snarky, they're just slagging off everyone. She's not. She's making jabs and jibes, but it ultimately never seemed like it was bullying or anything. It was just, yeah, she's ribbing people, and just the one-liners were brilliant. I hope we see more of her. With more Tilly, which I'm pleased with. Just getting Tilly turning up, and indeed I agree with Saru. Bring her along as a first contact. She is one of the kindest, nicest people. I know Giorgio said we're going into unknown territory. We need someone who can take care of themselves, but actually no, he's dead on that. He needs someone who can empathise and actually communicate, because they are in a position of weakness. There's 80 odd of them. The ship's been damaged. Yeah, it made sense, and we got to see a bit more of the future as well, which was nice. The reveal that it was Burnham picking them up, that kind of wasn't a surprise at all. I kind of twigged that. I hadn't seen the ship outline because I was actually miffed that we didn't get to see a spaceship, but I'd kind of worked it out. So yeah, it wasn't a surprise. But yeah, I mean, I just liked some of the ideas. We had our space western. The parasitic ice gave them a nice clock running on. I mean, again, it put some pressure on it. It's always nice to have a time pressure, and it just felt like, I know this sounds daft, it felt like an episode of a show. Like, you can't really watch this in isolation, but you almost felt you could. It's like a one and done story. I doubt it will. I'm sure they'll all show up 6 episodes on to be an antagonist, protagonist, help, hindrance, but for the moment it's interesting, and like I say, I'm really interested in where this is going and looking forward to where it's going to be. So that all for me to say. I do want to see more of what happens with Discovery. Yeah, I should leave this one alone. But all that remains to say is do keep up the good work, and thank you. I always enjoy the podcast, and I look forward to feeding back to the next one. But until then, bye for now.
Bye. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yes, I also loved how captainy Saru is. In this, he is a proper commanding presence, saying the right things and being an inspiration, which is good. Another person who liked the space western vibe.
Yes,
which is good.
It was fun.
It was fun, and yes, it was a bit one and done though, wasn't it? There wasn't. It did feel a bit standalone-y, didn't it? It doesn't mean it will be. It doesn't mean things won't be picked up a bit, but...
Yeah, as I said last time, I think, A, you've got the ongoing Detmer stuff. B, I'm not sure that we've seen the last of whatever his name was, the baddie.
Yeah, Medium Man.
Yes. Which just makes him sound like he's neither very tall or very short.
What does he look
like?
He
really harsh. Sure.
He was a medium man.
He was a medium man. Yeah. But yeah. So there are one or two things that may be picked up later on. We shall see. Alright, shall we move on to tonight's episode?
Yes.
I have no idea if there's an awful rock version of this one, but there we are. This one is entitled People of Earth.
Sir, 2 vessels approaching from Earth's orbit.
They do not bear Starfleet registries.
Shields up, red alert.
Sir, we're being hailed.
Put them through.
A view screen. How quaint. I am Captain Doyer of the United Earth Defense Force. Your vessel has violated Regulation C-1922 and F-031 of the UE Charter by reaching Earth's perimeter. Leave immediately. You are not welcome here.
And it's directed by one Jonathan Frakes.
Yay.
And again, none of the crazy camera movement in this one. So they seem to have calmed down, which I'm much appreciative of.
Yeah. Well, partly it makes me wonder, did Mad Camera Person, has he not directed one yet?
Not sure. Can't remember who was the worst. I have a feeling that last week's was Mad Camera Person.
Okay.
But again, they were very restrained, so...
Okay, fair enough.
Flashback to before Michael's reunited with Discovery, and I had this sinking thing, was like, oh no, we're not going to get another Michael-only episode, are we? But thankfully, no, it doesn't pan out like that. She kind of leaving a log for Discovery, and she said that Discovery...
Ew.
Every time. You thought you got used to this by now. Sorry. She refers to the lithium becoming scarce even before the burn, and we see all the ships go boom due to the lithium exploding.
Things that make boom.
Yes, and apparently the Federation disappeared overnight. Which doesn't say much about the Federation if it was all about dilithium, does it, Guy? We learn Michael has become a courier-like book, but in the process she's hunting for clues as to what caused the burn. We see her hair growing out, so apparently all the hairdressers were powered by dilithium as well. And then we see the moment she picks up Discovery's signal and she beams over.
I love Tilly's hugs when she beams over.
Yeah, needless to say, much blubbage is involved and it's just gone for a bit long.
You missed someone for a year.
Yeah, but the point is we've only missed them for an episode, so it doesn't have that much impact for us. But yeah.
Maybe not, but I think particularly Tilly's hug is nice, and also as well I like the fact that she and Giorgio just nod to each other.
And then she's chatting with Saru down the corridor, and a crewman of Indian extraction welcomes her back. Is that, I wonder, the father of Sahil from the first episode? Because, otherwise he's just a random extra that's walked on and said, "Welcome back, Commander," because we've never seen him before. So I'm just wondering, because he did say that his father was in Starfleet, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
So, Burnham has found a transmission from a Starfleet Admiral Tal from Earth 12 years in the past, and they decide to spore jump there. So all that stuff about damaging the mycelial network, that isn't a thing anymore. There's a sweet moment where Saru offers to defer to her in command, which is odd, considering he's a captain and she's a commander, but there we go.
Well, no, he's acting captain.
Yeah, and maybe it's only this episode he starts wearing the 4 spots on his badge.
It is, yeah.
But even so, it seemed a bit odd that he...
Well, what he says was that they were going to have a conversation about it. Now, in her absence, it was logical that he was the acting captain, but now she's back. They had both effectively been of equal rank. So it's just him being honourable, isn't it, really?
He does a speech, which I guess comes with the chair. And that leads us into the credits, the titles rather. As well as crew and worker bees repairing Discovery, we also get the irritating droids from another franchise. Well, if they've got repair droids, why do they have to bother going out in worker bees? And the whole thing about Star Trek was it was all about human endeavour. It wasn't robots doing stuff for them. Tilly is playing with a display board of Starfleet insignias.
It's a memorial board.
Yes, it's like Battlestar Galactica's wall of photos.
Yeah.
But that can't be for victims of the burn, but because I mean that was.
No, it's for the people they've lost on Discovery, because she's because
Oh right, I didn't pick.
it's the comm badges of the people from Discovery who
have died. Oh right, that's a nice touch, but I hadn't put 2 and 2 together and worked that one out. Ah, there we go. But Tilly's specifically mourning her parents.
Her parents as well. She says, we haven't had time to mourn our comrades. And then she says, but also I haven't had time to mourn my mum. Everything's happened so quickly for them.
Yes.
Michael's had this year they haven't had, that they're still processing.
Yes, the fact that they've gone into the far future and therefore needless to say all their relatives are dead, which... Yeah. That I guess it's one of those things where they've just been rush and haven't had a chance to think about it. But yeah, okay. Book beams aboard and gets the Giorgio treatment. He denies he and Michael are an item, which is hopeful. Yeah. Although I know Becky Black on Twitter has just been saying she's expecting to see lots of slash fiction with the year they had together. It's like, it'd just be so nice if people could just be friends. It didn't have to be a romance every time, but there we are. He gets his promised dilithium, and she tries to persuade him to come with them, including suggesting there may be more transworms out there, to which he replies, bollocks!
I like.
This isn't the first bollocks in Trek. That prize goes to Miles Edward O'Brien, of course,
yes.
But it's still welcome.
Yes, I like it.
Oh, bollocks!
The issue is raised that Discovery is transporting a fortune in dilithium, so Michael suggests they give it to Book for his to put it in his ship, and then he'll cloak. Just as well his ship is that flat knife shape, really, because otherwise there's no hope of it fitting in Discovery's dumb postbox of a shuttle bay. Stupid design.
It is, yes.
But it just fits. I mean, it's just... Oh.
It's like one of them do not bend letters that envelopes that only fit in certain postboxes. It just fits.
So anyway, we're 20 minutes in and bugger all has happened, to be honest. It's really frustrating and very slow. But finally they jump to the solar system and we get to see Saturn, they fly past, which I don't know whether that was a reference to the Next Generation title sequence, which of course was going in the other direction, but that's quite nice. And then there's another nice shot of them approaching Earth. They set off some sort of force field around the planet and are hailed by Captain Adoy from the United Earth Defence Force. Sounds very Thunderbirds to me, but there you go.
It does, doesn't it?
She tells them to bog off, basically.
Yep.
Saru tries to avoid pointing out that they're from the past, but that's really not going to work, is it, ultimately?
No.
And no point do we get a good look at the Earth ships that approach. They're just sort of tiny things on the screen. Even on our big telly, we couldn't see much of them, so that's a bit frustrating. They're kind of sort of... I don't know, they seemed like a bit like giant versions of Slave 1 to me, but there you go. The UED forces beam aboard and Michael gets booked to get in a Starfleet uniform so that he doesn't stand out. Cue much amusing stuff about him not wanting to wear a uniform.
Which, I wondered what it was that was bothering me about that acronym. It reminds me of IUD, which is Intrauterine Device. And it just made me think of coils, sorry.
Okay. That's unfortunate, but it isn't IUD, it's UED, so we're all right. Okay. Giorgio gets an admiral's uniform, because of course.
She's just decided that's what she's going to be.
Yep.
Well, it's like when she's with Book and she talks about my ship. It's not her ship.
She spotted that Michael doesn't feel at home on Discovery anymore. Doy explains that Earth has got so defensive because it's been under attack from dilithium raiders, including a group led by someone called Wen. Who knows when he'll turn up, eh? Oh. Eh? I'm surprised they didn't make that pun. It was just crying out to be made.
When will I be famous?
Oh dear. Anyway, I'm sure he plays that all the time. The Doy tells them that the Federation and Starfleet haven't been on Earth for 100 years and that the Earth is no longer a member, which is obviously a big change considering how Earth-centric it was in the past. And apparently Admiral Tal is dead as well, so what a waste of a journey. Never mind. We get a 16-year-old UED officer called Adira inspecting the spore drive. They're played by a non-binary actor, Blue Del Barrio, who's another Brit because this series loves us Brits, apparently. And this is their first TV role as well. Discovery is hailed by ships belonging to Wen, who looks like a cool insectoid alien.
Does.
And Adoya tries to beam back to her ship, but the transporters are being blocked. Book is in the mess trying to get drunk on synthol and obviously not succeeding. Michael collects him because she has... It's nice to think in the future they don't have Symphal, isn't it? Michael collects him because she has a plan, although she's neglected to tell Saru about it. Whoops. They fly off in his ship to seemingly make a deal with Wen. Discovery puts itself in harm's way to protect Michael from the UED ships, but Detmer is reluctant to act on Saru's orders, which is not a good sign for Detmer Watch, is it?
Well, yeah, except that she seems scared, so it does.
Well, I'm
seem
wondering
to be
about
trauma.
psychological. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Michael and Book turn up on Discovery's bridge with Wen, a captive. Saru tries to mediate between him and Nadoya, and then Georgia just kicks Wen and removes what turns out to be a helmet. And he's a human, apparently, which is a bit disappointing, to be honest, but there we go. It needs to be that way for the plot.
But also, I kind of like the idea as well. That's an easy way to disguise yourself, is just make you look like a completely different different species. So.
Stamets tracks down Adira, who's been tinkering with Discovery. She's been looking into the spore technology and wants an explanation. And Stamets gives it, which seems a bit foolish. I would have thought Saru wouldn't be very happy about that. Adira explains that she's become an inspector in order to find Starfleet and Admiral Tal. Wen explains they're from Titan, which suffered an environmental disaster, and when they asked her for help, the ships sent were destroyed. But Saru and Michael managed to broker a peace, which is all very Trek.
Yes. So yeah, I've noticed that at this moment, but it was there a couple of other moments before as well. You get a variation on the original series theme music that sort of blasts through, sort of linking it into Trek's founding, I think, on what it all originally stood for.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Nadoya offers them a chance to visit Earth and lets them take Adira with them. And Adira confesses to being Admiral Tal. It's revealed that they're carrying a Trill symbiont. How does that work? Because humans weren't able to hold a symbiont for more than a few hours.
I don't know.
Bizarre.
But then maybe we'll find out more as time goes on.
Maybe. Book leaves, which was a bit of a surprise, as we thought he was there for the season, but I probably suspect he'll be back. And finally, Tilly and some of the bridge crew beam down to Starfleet Academy and hug a tree.
Yeah.
Which is an odd ending, but there's a big... This is the one bit of sort of big camera stuff is a big pullback. We see the whole of what was Starfleet Academy and San Francisco in the far future, which is kind of cool. So yeah, I kind of feel like it's sort of 2/3 of a good episode. It does take too long to get going, but once it does, it's great fun. But yes, kind of done with them jumping to Earth a lot sooner, really.
I don't know. I think that would have been too much of a coincidence necessarily. I think it's good that they're exploring some of the things they're going through. The fact that they've got the memorial wall and then they haven't yet had time to process all the stuff about going to the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it when, unless something is you're only getting a very brief window into someone in a film or a TV series where, I don't know, everything takes place over the course of a couple of days or something. With that exception, I don't like it when it doesn't deal with the emotional repercussions of various decisions and actions, and so I like that this was there. I found the tree hugging a bit weird at the end myself. So for me, no, it didn't take. I didn't find it took too long to get going. I would have felt a bit cheated, I think, if they'd gone to Earth too soon. But I agree with you that this whole thing about all this stuff about the spore drivers damaging things, let's just forget that and we'll just do it anyway. Is yeah.
But yeah, not a bad episode by any means. Just not quite as much fun as last week.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Let's find out what other people thought.
And we've heard from Doreen, who writes, "The Kelly household found this episode truly odd. I found Michael's voiceover message in the pre-credit sequence strange, as we saw her find Discovery at the end of the last one.
It was an odd move, yes.
When Booker's ship came into the cargo bay and then cloaked, I was confused because there were boxes all over the floor. I thought that just cloaking means it doesn't touch stuff. I don't know.
Boxes all over the floor.
So there were, I don't know what they were, crates, whatever, but they were box shapes, definitely, and they were sort of greyish.
In the cargo bay?
In the cargo bay.
That would be cargo then, wouldn't it?
Fine. There's cargo in the cargo bay.
Shocking.
And where it seemed to cloak and be would have been on top of it and squishing it.
Oh, right. I'm not sure about that. Presumably it's got sort of landing legs or something, so it's lifted off.
Oh, okay. No, that landing legs would make sense. That works. Okay, we didn't see them, but that would work.
No, we didn't see an awful lot on that thing, but yeah.
But Doreen says that she and Anthony decided the ship must not have landed. But then how did they get in and off? It must have landed because
I think so. Yeah, I would say I imagine it.
But I did wonder the same thing with all
then
that
again,
cargo.
chairs don't have legs in this future. So
No, that's right. Maybe yeah. Oh no, you're good
maybe
point.
it just floats.
Oh, don't know. But wouldn't that be using fuel?
It's the future.
Okay. Anthony has more technical issues. He wondered why Discovery has so much dilithium on board. He says dilithium is not a fuel.
It is, isn't it? I thought. Well, it's used in the warp reaction, I thought, or something. I don't know. Shows what I know. Somebody like Andy will put it right.
Yeah. Anthony thinks Discovery's crew are too pleased to see Michael as they only saw her a day ago, but I argued they'd had quite a day. Yeah.
No. Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, that seemed odd, but then again, we'd seen her less than a day ago, so yeah.
So I don't know how long. Is it really only a day?
I think it's not long, is it? They certainly haven't gone long without spotting her, but presumably it's supposed to indicate that they were worried that they completely lost her.
Yes.
Rather than, we haven't seen you in ages, but rather we thought you were dead.
Yeah. Or, we were never going to see you again, because where were you? Yeah, okay. Anthony thinks Michael's hair has grown too much in a year, but I know my hair has grown a lot this year after 2 disastrous COVID cuts I gave myself. I thought she had hair extensions.
She probably does, to be honest, but anyway.
He also thinks the bridge crew don't care enough for Detmer and aren't showing her enough pastoral care. I think that might be a bit harsh because I think they're all scared and frazzled at this point.
Yes, they're not hugely aware of the issue yet, in a way that we are, because the camera's making it obvious.
Yeah.
To us.
So if time goes on and they don't say anything, you'll be right. But for now, I don't think so.
Yeah. We've also heard from Martin.
Hi there, it's Martin here with some thoughts on People of Earth, latest episode of Discovery. Before I start with that, I'd just like to mention that I've been watching Star Trek Next Generation for the first time. At the moment, I'm halfway through season 3. I've just got up to Sins of the Father, episode with Worf, of course, all the Klingons turning their backs on him, like we're in the Mighty Boosh. Anyway, People of Earth, the big reunion special, which saw everybody come together again. I just have to say I really enjoyed this one. I think you have some feeling of classic Trek, really. I think with the two halves, with Earth and with the Raiders, kind of talking it out together. And at first I thought, I don't know if you're going to get a result out of this, because they're obviously Raiders, but of course they have this story of being stranded on Titan when the Earth kind of shut its doors out, which is very interesting. Again, considering the current climate, as everyone's becoming so insular and very very Brexity in some way. The whole of Earth's gone a bit Brexit. And the Earth Defence League, that remind anyone else of Babylon 5. Even some of the uniforms, I think, yes, that reminded me of some Babylon 5. Good to see everyone interact again. It was good to see Book interacting with the new crew, and there's a lot of nice lines in this as well. I quite enjoyed. There's a few I'm surprised didn't use for the titles of this. So generally the titles have been less pretentious this season. Saru gets the captain's chair, which feels like it should be a more important moment than it actually is. I mean, he tries to sit in the chair like he's not kind of sat in it before, but we've seen him sat in it before. He's been captain throughout all of this. But the trouble with it is, I mean, what does captain actually mean now? It's like being elected. You're captain of your own household. All right, well, thanks, but it's just among you guys. It doesn't really mean anything more, I think, with Star Trek, with the Federation and with Starfleet being kaput. So the kind of the honour seems to have lost its shine. It's played as a really important moment, and it's a very nice bit of character development. We do seem to have a mission going forward to kind of find this general and to find Admiral, and to kind of pull the threads of the Federation and Starfleet back together. So, yeah, it does feel to me more like Discovery is discovering itself now. Perhaps, again, free of that baggage, it can forge ahead and be something a bit more. It feels a bit more of a confident season now. I'm sure there's a few other things I did want to mention. It was nice, Jonathan Frakes' direction I thought was very good. And there's a lovely kind of iconic, the iconic shot of there with the Golden Gate Bridge and Starfleet Academy and that kind of the scene with some of the regulars and the tree. It's it does feel more like the cast are coming together a bit more. And there's a nice kind of moment with Stamets and the young girl who I can't remember the name of. There's Aurora, I think. But I saw her in some of the promotional material. I thought, well, she's obviously coming into it as someone or other. But yeah, that was an interesting development. I have to say, and something that I didn't see, although I don't really know much about the Trill, other than that it's a food for budgies. But I'm sure you'll discuss that on the podcast. Right. Anyway, as I say, I'm really enjoying season 3 so far. Where we are going. I thought this was a cracking episode, and we'll see how it continues next week. Okay. Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah, I do think the RUD, as we're now calling it, the coils.
No, we're not calling it that.
Is very Brexity.
Yes, I think that's definitely the thing they were going with, weren't they?
Yeah, and they were clearly wrong and idiots and killed people unnecessarily, so we know what's happening in our future. The whole thing with Saru being captain feeling more important than it actually is, he had a battlefield commission. It's a temporary appointment that was then...
Yeah, but as he points out, he's now captain of a ship that is the only ship in Starfleet, pretty much. And he's also Grand Admiral, for that matter, basically.
Yeah,
so.
Well, no, that's
Giorgio wouldn't let him give it that.
Yeah. But they didn't, at the time when they made the decision, they didn't know. And they do think there are some other starships out there. Because you remember Mr. Newsreader?
He said there'd be a couple, didn't he? Yeah.
So that there are some. And, yeah, I like Jonathan Frakes' direction in this. We certainly preferred it much more to weird...
Yeah, no, all this season, the direction has improved immeasurably. It's far less showy and silly.
Yes. But I think as well, things like the shots of the Golden Gate Bridge and that... I don't know how you direct CG, because they would have all been done by CG, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
But anyway, I liked it, the direction. Appreciated it.
So, Trills. Yes, not a reference to the budgie food. Introduced in The Next Generation. Which episode was that? I'm trying to look it up. The Hosts.
Yeah.
Which is season 4, so you're not too far away from it. I tell you, you're definitely hitting the good stuff as far as Next Generation is concerned, Martin. But yes, and then a very regular part of Deep Space Nine, one of the science person. So yes, we've learnt a lot about Trill over the years, and it's going to be interesting just how much the writers of Discovery have. You have to excuse the blooming fireworks, it's that time of year.
Well, except it shouldn't be.
Well, yeah, indeed. But anyway.
But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this, because of course technology has advanced, hasn't it? So has medical science advanced
enabled
enough?
a human to have a Trill, which wasn't
in an emergency.
Well,
possibly. I mean, I don't know.
It was an emergency in the past, but it only lasted for a few hours, wasn't it?
Yes, it wasn't able to be permanent.
Anyway, don't want to spoil the host for you. And Trills will look quite different in that to how they look in Deep Space Nine, by the way. But anyway, you've got that joy to look forward to. Excellent.
Yeah. What did the Llama God make of this?
Llama God's log, Scott Date, Feedkit, Jake, Chickasee, They say you can never go home. Okay, then to start with, I just want to address something that was brought up in last week's podcast, and that is the very important matter of swing doors in kitchen. Yes, I remember someone who had swing doors in the kitchen in it would have been the 70s, wouldn't it? In fact, it's one of my earliest memories is that my uncle had a house with those doors, and it's just a bizarre memory for me because given when he said he sold that house, I must have been about 1, so yeah, one of my earliest memories. An odd thing to have. But anyway, yes, on to more important matters, and I'm not stalling because of the nature of this episode, but yeah, this episode, very good, very timely. And it's timely because of when this episode has actually fallen being aired, because this episode gives us some hope for a future where things have fallen and become divided, and this time next week part of the world might find out whether there's actually any hope to be had or not. So going to be interested to see what state the world's going to be like when we come back this time next week, isn't it? Because yeah, unfortunately, more so than in previous Star Treks, the idea of an insular, self-interested Earth is far too easy to imagine now. As Michael says, it's probably a bit of a misquote, but everything we worked for disappeared into madness. We thought we could imagine a future and we were wrong. And if that isn't the most painful thing to hear at the moment, then I don't know what is. The whole thing, the state of the US, the Brexit situation, everything. Years ago, the future looked like it could be good. I mean, obviously this isn't true. We're in the world where I'm speaking of a place of white Western privilege here. But yeah, there has been a descent into madness over recent years, which makes it not so difficult to see that such an event, pulling the Federation apart, could have resulted in the same in Earth. And again, though, this is why this iteration of Star Trek remains probably one of the more important ones, because it is showing us hope again, and oh my god, do we need hope in these times. And a lot of that comes across in the resolution to this episode. We do have a bit of space combat with the pirates. There's some nice spaceship action. I'd be interested to hear what you think of those new spaceships, actually. I mean, the pirate ships were just small and interesting party ships, but the Earth defense ships look like weird split-apart slave ones. That was Boba Fett's spaceship from Star Wars. So yeah, there was interesting future designs. But yes, there was a bit of a space battle thing. And yeah, Michael and Book did something clever, and we didn't quite get to see it. But the point is that it wasn't resolved via combat. That was just a means to getting their attention, really. The fact is that what actually succeeds in this episode is diplomacy and an understanding of the situation, and an understanding that both sides of the conflict were suffering, and that they were both the same, and they had things to offer each other. And that was so very powerful. It was slightly unfortunate that Netflix actually went ahead and spoiled the reveal that the pirate was actually a human, because they have a picture of him unmasked on the page for that episode. So yeah, well, as soon as I saw him with the mask and the rest of the costume, was like, oh, he's a human inside, isn't he? Oh well. But still, it didn't take away from the impact of that scene and the fact that's a very important point, and again, so very Star Trek, and I do want to see more of this. There was, of course, another lovely moment at the start of the episode when Michael stands aside from Saru for being captain, and I'd be lying if I said that didn't bring a tear to my eyes. It was just a beautiful moment and the right choice, and it's good to see how these characters have grown and doing the right thing. And Saru is captain now, which is just magnificent. As with the last week, he gets a lot of chances to shine, both in being considered and compassionate, but also strong and firm when needs be. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing his captaincy of the Discovery. He is certainly in the right place at the right time, and the captain the Discovery needs right now. Michael herself is interesting. There is certainly some change to her character. You could argue that it's only been a year, but it's also been a year. A year can be a very long time, especially if you're cut off from everyone and everything that you knew. So yeah, she is going to have grown and changed out of necessity. So to see her come back to who she was, I mean, she's obviously had some slight reticence, but she wants to rediscover Starfleet, to rediscover herself, and so this is going to be good for the story, because she rediscovers what it means to be Starfleet, and we'll rediscover that as well. So yeah, I'm liking the direction they've gone in with her. It also removes some of the angst, at least we had from season 2 and everything, with regard to her existing backstory. In fact, the only unbelievable thing about Michael's year in the future was the fact that she and Book didn't get it on at any point, and that just seems, I mean, look at them, look at both of them. How could they have not? I mean, crikey, Joe was screaming it at the screen, just shag and get over with. Oh well, I guess some people have more restraint than we do. The downside about the passage of time is, as I said last week, is that the TV writers are using the whole idea that the show has been gone for a year to make it seem like the crew has been separated from Michael for much longer than they have been, whereas they only been separated from her for a few hours, wasn't it, after coming out the wormhole. Some of the interactions with Michael, especially from Tilly, they feel like they've been separated for a long time, and from Tilly's perspective, not so much. But I guess maybe the crew are also suffering from the whole fact they've ended up somewhere that they're not used to being, so it's probably more the shock of that as opposed to any actual time that's passed. But yeah, they're definitely using a few TV tropes there to introduce some drama into the situation, and it's a situation that didn't actually exist in TV terms, except from one side, which also makes it confusing. I'll stop complaining about this. The only other downside I find to this, and the series itself at the moment actually, is the idea that the Federation crumbled as a result of something practical, all dilithium exploding at once. Yeah, okay, you can argue whether or not that actually makes sense scientifically, but from a story point of view, it's slightly less interesting than if the Federation collapsed due to some sort of internal dispute or something. There's an external factor at play here, and that's slightly less interesting. But again, I'll forgive it if the story of the rebuild and how they found their way back again becomes an interesting one instead. So it's not so much of how we got here as to where we're going to go after here, so that remains to be interesting. So in all, yeah, this was another great episode. It gave us Star Trek, proper Star Trek, and it's showing us in the future, even of madness and collapse and despair, that things can still be good and there can still be hope. Let's hope this is a message that's still relevant this time next week. As ever, I'm looking forward to hearing what Eros makes of these. I hope everybody stays safe as the rules and boundaries of our lives change over the next few days. And until next week, glory to you and your cast.
Thank you. Yeah, gosh, that's... I mean, I'm not surprised that one of your early memories is swing doors in the kitchen. If you ever encountered them, it would stick in your mind. But, yeah, if you were age 1, that is very early. Maybe they hit you in the head. Maybe that's why you remember them. And, yeah, it is poignant. You know, we thought we could imagine the future, and we were wrong. But it is showing us hope again. And so, you know, and I am interested in how they rebuild, seeing what lessons we can take from that, as hopefully, eventually, we are in the same position.
Mm-hmm. He seems to be. Well, they both seem to be very keen on Michael and Book being an item. Didn't we do that already with Clem Fandango? I mean, every season she's got to fall in love with somebody else. Just really. Can they not just be friends? I have friendships with loads of people and I don't fall in love with them. It's just bizarre.
That's one of the things that bothers me is because you've got this whole... It's more common in the US, but I have encountered it in this country. This whole strain of men and women can't be friends.
Yeah, no, they're just...
And it just, if you do too much of this, it plays into it, and I don't like it. I'm not saying that she should never have a relationship, don't get me wrong.
No, but just not every season with a different person.
Yeah, either stick with one person, or, have a season where actually she's fine on her own.
Yeah, that would be nice. Anyway, and he went to a slave one place with the United Earth Force ships as well, which is interesting, so it wasn't just me. Thank you to everybody who's fed back.
Thank you.
Feel free to send in your thoughts on this episode for our next podcast next week. We're still recording Saturday at 8, yes. But until then, take care. Cheery bye.
Bye.
With thanks to Andy Palastides for the Borgcast Discovery artwork. All music referenced is for illustrative purposes only, and no copyright infringement is intended.
Find our website at borgcast.libsyn.com.
We have a Facebook page, and we have a YouTube channel as well.
You can find the Borgcast playouts on Spotify for your listening pleasure.
Visit our Tumblr site at borgcast.tumblr.com, where you'll find images accompanying the episodes discussed in this cast.
Send emails or MP3s to borgcast@gmail.com.
Or you can contact us via Twitter on rev_org or borgcastammo. #Borgcast.
Shut it down!
Bollocks.